I'm Terry Saka, and this is Rigged Against You. Happy New Year to everyone. It's been a pretty wild holiday time when it comes to the markets. I hope everyone had a really nice, relaxing time, some really good food, and a little bit of fun because you deserve it. But there is some interesting things going on. I know with the prices in commodities and what's been going on in the markets, people are curious. I do want to tell you today, this program is going to be about China is buying everything. And you're going to want to tune into this one because it's not just to do with silver, but it is a big deal, especially with silver. But China is buying everything and waiting till you see what they're doing and how that's going to impact you. So before I get going, please consider subscribing. Hit that bell for notification. I don't do a lot of these, but when I do, you want to be notified because this information isn't just talk. It is stuff that could actually change the direction of your life if you pay attention to it, because we're in a fourth turning event. Really radical transformation time where we're going into a new financial system. And the bottom line is, put it this way, by the time it becomes obvious what has happened, it will already have happened. And so I'm trying to get as many people as possible ready for this. Now, I know I had a podcast back at the time, maybe a few weeks ago, that said, $2 silver days will become $5 silver days. Well, that proved to be true through the holidays. We even had days up to $7. So the volatility is picking up. It's getting extreme in volatility. I mean, you have the silver going up $5, $6 a day, $7 a day, and then coming down $4 a day. It is all over the place. And that volatility is for a reason. Now you're starting to hear chatter through the internet about silver shortage. This is true. Now, not in, the dealer form like Cornerstone Asset Metals and the retail side. If Cornerstone Asset Metals can't get it, nobody can. But the bottom line is it's London. London has very low liquidity. They're struggling. The West itself has really low liquidity, and I'm going to get into that. But more importantly, it's what China is doing, and China is buying everything. So I do want to get into showing you what's going on. Before I do, let's just kind of recap for the year what took place. We all know that gold has really outperformed. Of course, silver even more. Silver was up about 150% last year. Gold outperformed as well. But take a look at this. Over the last 25 years, I've been trying to press upon all of you that have been in the stock market. Gold has dramatically outperformed. So when you look at these lines, the S&P blue line, now that is just the S&P returns on stock value. Look where gold is, over 1,000%. The purple line is S&P values with reinvested dividends. So obviously there was a lot more return if you reinvested the dividend. But the bottom line is you can see is that gold over the last 25 years has dramatically, and I mean dramatically, outperformed the stock market. I know your financial advisors just don't get it. They have a plan. They're kind of forced to have that plan. They're not allowed to let money leave. But if you just would have been in gold, and if you would have been in silver the last 25 years, you would have dramatically outperformed. Well, here's the good news. Going forward, because we are in a commodity super cycle, you're still going to see silver, mainly silver for sure, and gold for that matter, are going to outperform the stock market in the next 18 months. And it's because the world is basically blowing out as almost like a parabolic blow off of the currency system. So, for instance, right now, China, let's go this way. Come March, and this is going to be a big deal. Now, this is not just all about silver. There's a lot more to this, but silver is kind of a component here because a lot of people saw through the holidays, silver had jumped dramatically, and we're now basically in the 90s with silver, flirting with 100, and it comes down and goes up. But the bottom line is it exploded. But come March, the contract delivery for March is going to be explosive in silver. The shortages are real. This is going to be real. This is something we have never seen before. Usually in the commodities market, like the COMEX, which is the United States, the LBMA, which is in London, usually they deal with paper. So they sell gold, sell silver on paper, and on average, you get maybe 100 contracts standing for delivery. Now it's thousands of contracts standing for delivery. So come March is the next big delivery month. I don't know what they're going to do, but they don't have the physical silver to deliver. This is going to be huge. And so when I get into saying China is buying up everything, this is very fascinating. China is smarter than we in the West. And I don't know maybe if they're smarter, but they planned it better because the West has been manipulating the financial system for so long, and they just got caught with the shorts down because China is now dumping at the beginning of the year here, trillions of dollars in their currency into the market. Maybe people think, oh, they're just stimulating the economy. No, China is printing currency to buy commodities. They are sparking a huge commodity squeeze. So they're running around printing this fake fiat currency, which remember now, when I say we're in a fourth turning, we're entering a new financial system. At the end of that system, a smart country will print that currency into the stratosphere and actually buy physical assets. And that is what China is doing. They are printing trillions and actually buying hard assets. They're running around the world buying gas and oil and silver and other commodities, securing the future for their people and their country. That's not good because in the West, we're not doing that. So they're printing currency to buy commodities and assets before the currency markets collapse. Before this new financial system comes into play, it is going to be crypto-based. It is going to be stablecoin-based. It is going to be a full transformation, hopefully not digital ID here in America like they're doing in England and others, because that will be a slave state controlling your behavior. But it will be a new financial system. But before they can introduce it, something is going to happen. Now, I don't know if it's a false flag, if it's a true, genuine financial collapse. Is it going to be some form of war? Will they create another pandemic? Who knows? I don't know what the false flag is. I just know something is coming for them to introduce the new digital financial system. This is a major shift. Go into the fourth turning, as I've talked about a lot in the past. Every 80 years, go back in American history, every 80 years, we've had major transformational stuff take place. Going back to World War II, Civil War, 1776. We are now in the 80-year cycle now, and just lo and behold, we're facing a radical new financial system. So what is China doing about it? Now, China's not the only one, by the way. The other countries are doing it too, but China's got a huge printing press, and they are printing to buy these hard assets before the system collapses. Eventually, whatever this false flag is, the system will collapse. The governments around the world will come out. It'll happen overnight. As I said, by the time you realize it happened, it'll already have happened. That's why preparing yourself is paramount. And for those that think this is high silver and gold prices, you're kidding yourself. We have a long way to go because they're printing currency into the stratosphere. Before whatever this false flag is, China is brilliant printing currencies, going around and buying up these assets. The West, we're almost like corrupt fools. We're not doing it. The West, which is London and the United States COMEX and the exchanges, they have shorted. Now, this comes into silver. They have shorted, meaning they sold silver on contract for silver they don't own. It's called a naked short. The West has shorted a staggering 4.4 billion ounces of silver. That's 500% times the annual mining supply. Yearly, we only mine about 800 million ounces. These banks are in trouble. That's Citibank, Bank of America, HSBC in England. The Western banks are in deep trouble because instead of printing currency and buying hard tangible assets around the world like China, the West is using derivative naked shorts, meaning they're selling stuff they don't own and they're going to get caught. Now, what's going to happen? Well, that's the $1,000 question, the $1 trillion question, I guess you could say, because we don't know. Because as I was saying earlier, typically in the futures market, which is setting the price for silver, gold, and other commodities, it was basically there to provide liquidity between producers like farmers and miners and the people that use it, the industrial complex and the food manufacturers and such. It gave it liquidity, so allowed people to invest in it. But then they turned it into a corrupt system by allowing them to sell contracts for commodities they don't own. So typically a farmer who has a crop, and let's say he's got 1,000 bushels of corn, he goes into the commodities market and he forward contracts that. He sells ahead saying, hey, I got these coming, but he's ready to exchange real corn for cash. When they start doing these naked shorts and the derivatives that the West started to do, it's phony. It's fake because they're selling something they don't own. So in a typical month in the futures market, especially in silver, you would get about 100 contracts standing for delivery. So most of the time through the month, you could get 1 billion ounces in silver traded through that COMEX, and nobody took physical delivery. It was truly just about speculation. And so for all these years, they've been psychologically training we the people, to stay away from the market while they were making money. So they let the price rise. Then they would short it by selling contracts of physical assets they don't own. The price collapses. They buy it back and they repeat, rinse and repeat. And they were making billions and billions in profit. But it was just about trading. And because they were able to do it, because they were able to dump hundreds of millions and billions of ounces of physical silver on paper that they didn't own, the price would collapse. And that's why we know in the past, when silver would hit $50, collapse down to 10, 14, 11. They could control it. Now, though, instead of just 100 contracts wanting physical delivery, because remember, one silver contract is 5,000 ounces, 1,000 ounce silver bar. So now they're seeing thousands of these contracts standing for delivery, to the point where the LBMA in London had to actually lease 700 million ounces of silver from China with interest. So they had to borrow silver from China with interest, mind you. I've never seen that. They have to pay it back. Where are they going to get that? Just to cover contracts that were demanding delivery. That's a big deal. Before, they could manipulate it because no one really wanted the physical. Now, the people buying the futures contracts, they want the actual physical delivered. Big trouble for the Western banks. So you have now companies like Samsung, militaries around the world, the defensive departments around the world, Tesla. We go on and on. You talking solar cells and electronics and all the applications right down to your bathroom mirror need physical silver. So what you're seeing, because the price is no longer $20 an ounce, now we're looking at 100. And my projection over the next couple years here, probably $300 an ounce. as I talked about in the past, when the silver gold ratio, that means how many ounces of physical silver it takes to buy 1 ounce of gold. Only 3 times actually in our history, last 100 years or so, that ratio was over 100 ounces of physical silver to 1 ounce of gold. I was hollering for those that are watching this podcast saying it's over 100, sell your gold and buy silver. And for those that did, congratulations, you made a fortune, because now the ratio's dropped down to 50. That's why silver is up 150% last year when gold was about 40%. So those that went to the silver made substantially more profit. We see that ratio in the industry minimally going to 20 to 1. Now, I think, and my colleagues, some of them think 10 to 1, but let's just say 20 to 1. We have a projection over the next handful of years, probably 2 years. Gold is anywhere between $7,000 and $10,000 an ounce. Even Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan said he can see gold at $7,000 to $10,000 an ounce. Now, what does that mean? If gold, let's just say 10,000, if gold reaches $10,000 an ounce, what does that mean for the silver gold ratio? Yeah, that's $500. $500 an ounce. Now, I'm kind of conservative with the idea. Let's just say it's $7,000. We're still looking at $320 an ounce. So I'm comfortable saying that we are definitely looking anywhere between $300 to $500 an ounce in physical silver. And I'm not the one saying it. China and the rest in the East, they know it. That's why they're buying it and want the physical delivered. That's why before this March contract is due in the futures market in the COMEX in the United States, when I think they're going to get stuck, you're going to see corporations like Samsung and Tesla. They are fighting it out. I won't be surprised to see Tesla, Samsung, which I know some of them already are running around the world buying up the actual material from the mines. They're not even letting it get to the market. They're not even letting it get to refining. They're going right to mines around the world and negotiating to buy what they're getting out of the ground. That's why you're hearing there's a shortage, because there is. The East is trying to accumulate and store up as much physical silver as needed. Why is that? Because of AI, not just all the other things, electric vehicles, so forth, military. AI data centers take a tremendous amount of physical silver and power. Do you know when you go on the internet, if you use ChatGPT, you use 4 times more energy to search that answer than you do just going to Google. Now, why is that? Is because AI analyzes every portal and every article and aspect of the market in the internet to give you the answer. And so the amount of energy that AI is using is ferocious. And they are sucking the countries dry of energy. That's why President Trump just made an executive order lowering electric bills for the areas that have AI data centers going into, making technology companies pay the electric bills for people, basically capping it so they're not getting taxed because the AI data centers are sucking out the energy. In the meantime, they're trying to build power plants, nuclear power plants, but it's going to take years. And we know if we do not get ahead of AI, China will beat us to it and they will run the world. So we have no choice. But the amount of physical silver that is needed for AI data centers, let alone all the electrical and electric cars, is unbelievable. So that is why we have the issue, because AI data centers are just going to drain the system of commodities. And the world knows this, so all the world is scrambling for natural resources, not just silver, but gold, because it's going to be part of the new financial system, and other commodities like rare earth minerals. That's why President Trump is brilliant signing the rare earth mineral contract in Ukraine. why Venezuela is so important, why Greenland is so important. Well, really, Greenland is for the Golden Dome missile system. And that's actually a little side note because that's the real reason and why they will give it to the United States. But Venezuela, beautiful thing about Venezuela, which we're going to get, they produce hundreds of tons of silver a year. So this is a very, very positive event to take place for us. Trump realizes we are now a multipolar world, meaning it's no longer America dominates the world. China is going to dominate the Pacific Rim. Russia is going to take Eurasia. Okay, I'm going to get to them next. America is going to control the hemisphere here as far as North and South America, which includes Greenland. If you look at the map, how they break it down. And Europe, well, Europe's going away. Europe doesn't have anything. They don't produce anything. You might as well call London Stan. Europe is basically becoming co-opt Muslim nations. They're destroyed. And I'm sorry to say that because I lived in Germany for a few years in the army and I really wanted to go to Switzerland, but maybe Switzerland's okay. But Muslims, Islam does not get along with the West. Sorry, they just don't. They're locusts. They just want to come and destroy. And when they take over a certain percentage of population, they demand Sharia law. They have no respect for Western culture, no respect for women. Sorry, you don't like it? I don't really care. They don't belong here. They need to go back to where they are and leave the West to the Western culture. So Europe is destroyed. They don't have anything. They don't produce anything. My guess, Europe is going to break up. Southern countries are weighing on the northern. Germany and France are actually bankrupt. That's why they're pushing for war with Russia. So this is a really huge beginning of a new year. What we're seeing here play out to me is absolutely unbelievable. I personally am kind of shocked at how this is starting to play down. But, you know, we know for a fact that the COMEX U.S. exchange, where the silver was traded, it just wasn't designed. They created it for liquidity, but it wasn't designed for massive delivery and demand of the commodity. It was designed for paper trading. That's why they were corrupt and manipulating it. This is unprecedented to have this level of delivery. So the COMEX in the United States, they couldn't already handle the physical silver. They only have a couple weeks in the depository. And so they were sending all the physical demand over to London. EFPs, we call it. It was exchange for physical. So all the EFPs that came into the U.S. exchange, they were sending them over to London, and London was fulfilling. But even London got caught because the East is taking and raiding the vaults of the West. This is absolutely unprecedented. Is force majeure on the table? A lot of people have been saying that. Honestly, it could. If force majeure happens, basically, they will demand, instead of giving you physical silver, that you have to settle in cash, or they just cancel your contract outright. Don't think it can happen? They did it in England in 2020 with nickel. You just canceled the contracts. Now, what does that do? Yeah, it'll ruin the exchange credibility. They'll be destroyed. So I'm not sure how they're going to save it. Maybe the banks would just get a big bailout on these shorts. I don't know. Force majeure will not impact we, the people and individuals. Force majeure is about exchange level 1,000-ounce bars, industrial bars. That's where that can go. Those contracts in the futures market, that's where force majeure can happen. If something like that goes down, you're going to see silver shoot up $50, $100 in one day. So owning physical silver now is paramount. Then remember, this is not about silver here. I know I'm touching on it because it's unprecedented what's happening, but it's not just about silver. It's about the whole paper asset world. The population of the world is at such a level that finite commodities, energy, food, copper, cotton, nickel, silver, gold. These resources are needed, and countries are fighting to see how much they can control. So just understand, this is really a condemnation of the corrupt, fake, fiat paper financial system. Unbelievable. So this will reprice silver and other commodities in the paper system as it collapses. We get a paper system collapse. I'm not kidding when I say silver up $50 in one day. Now, I don't know if that's the false flag. So to me, I'm kind of holding back and waiting, but I do know something is coming, because walk in the new digital monetary system. Crypto, stablecoin, once they pass that Clarity Act, State Street just came out and said that they are going to tokenize their mutual funds, their stocks, the money market. You're talking trillions and trillions, and it just looks like HBAR may be the one hash graph blockchain that's going to be part of it. Very interesting, but it's a fascinating time. It is going into the new crypto digital world. We just don't know what the false flag is going to be to bring it there. So to kind of wrap it up, I would highly recommend giving Cornerstone Asset Metals a call. I don't care if you've already bought some. Don't think this is high. If you're still heavily in the stock market, get diversified out and get silver. You're still going to be outperformed. Silver is still going to outperform the stock market in the next 18 months. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind, my opinion, that that's going to happen. Just make the change. And if you don't understand something, ask the question. But do know right now, the demand is unbelievable and the delays are ferocious. We are looking at 30-day delays. Don't listen to the people out there trying to beat up companies. Oh, I gave them my money and they say 10 days and they're panicking. Sound like whiny little babies. Just don't. The companies, when you place an order and they lock you in, they buy the physical commodity. We're all in line. Cornerstone's in line, but we own the right to the product. They would not sell the product to us if they didn't have it. But it's called get in line, unless you're one of those that like to take cuts. All I can say is maybe you shouldn't have waited till silver was $90. Should have been buying it when we told you to buy it at $20. But the bottom line is have patience. There's a lot of really good companies online. If they got gold in the name of their company, forget it. They're ripping you off like you have no idea. But some of the online companies and companies like Cornerstone, they're solid. They're good companies, but you are starting to see a lot of the onlines. They're passing $10,000 minimum purchase orders. Otherwise, you can't buy it. So you better go to your local coin store. Give Cornerstone Asset Metals a call. Understand owning physical assets at this time in history while we're going through this fourth turning is paramount as breathing. I know that seems extreme, but I'm just trying to say we are going into an unprecedented time, and it's going to be exciting for those that are in the right place. And know that just be with peace. Let peace be with you. And until next time, I will continue to do some podcasts here. I'm back in the game, and I know this is a little long, but there was a lot of information there. So until next time, God bless you.
With all of the recent changes in the political and financial markets, there has never been a better time than right now to invest in silver and gold. When governments simply print billions of dollars in paper money in hopes of solving financial shortfalls, you know that it is time to buy and hold assets of true and lasting value. Free information is available to you right now by calling 888-747-3309. Whether you are a new investor or you're interested in preserving the value of your retirement accounts, we make it easy for you to make smart decisions for your financial future. The specialists at Cornerstone are here to serve you, work to satisfy your retirement goals, and communicate with respect. Call us right now at 888-747-3309. That's 888-747-3309. Or visit us online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com. That's cornerstoneassetmetals.com.